What's going on, leaders? Good morning. Welcome to Monday Morning Leadership Huddle. I'm your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray. This is where I provide you with tips and tools to drive your leadership purpose. So let's get ready for another week to drive impact, another week to lead with authenticity and integrity, another week to make a difference in others' life. If you're ready, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure your notifications are turned on so you can be in the know when we go with another round, another edition of Monday Morning Leadership Huddle. Let's go, people. You know, over the last couple episodes, you can definitely, I guess, if I had to sum it up, right? I've been really speaking in this self-leadership type of theme and really reflection. And maybe it's because we're entering in Q4 soon. Q3 will be open, and we in that finish what you start season. Yes, finish what you start season. It is go time, right? It's time to finish all the things, finish what we set out for the year, those goals, the vision that we had. It's time to finish it, right? It's time to finish strong, right? And it doesn't mean it has to end in December, but again, just the kind of things we want to get done, things that we want to kind of put a put a period in and pick it back up next year. Things that we want to say, hey, I want to accomplish this. It's time to finish what you start. And we have talked about rest, talked about power within, pivoting our thoughts to change our perspective, to walk in our purpose. We have talked about unmasking, masking ourselves to really experience growth through our vulnerabilities. And today, I think we're going to take another step in that direction around just our inner being, right? These things that we have to do around motivating ourselves, inspiring ourselves, that I think will also help us to motivate and inspire others. That these choices that we make as leaders, we doing it towards driving our purpose. So I want to use this verse, this couple verses, right, in the Bible. Yeah, we're going to go to the Bible. That and this is going to be a food for thought. I'm going to be really sitting here, or I'm going to stay here. We're going to park it here for a couple weeks and really take a deep dive in these three areas that I believe are they're powerful. And there's some practical steps that we can take in each of these areas that helps us to live a purpose-driven life. It helps us to drive our leadership purpose. So what I'm talking about is this verse in the Bible, this teaching that Jesus is teaching. He's talking to his disciples. And before I read it, I want to take a moment to really, if we think about and reflect, if we take a moment and reflect on our accomplishments, big, small accomplishments, we take a moment to think about those accomplishments, the goals that we were able to meet. Maybe we think about someone else's accomplishments that we know or others that we admired. I believe there is these thematic attributes in each of those successes. I think there's a component of seeking, components of knocking, components of asking. So we're going to be talking about those three areas, those three actions, right? In order to really, again, in order to walk in our purpose, in order to be better leaders, in order to overcome adversity, in order for us to grow, to develop a growth mindset, that if we take a moment to just reflect on our own accomplishments, or maybe someone that we admired, we can probably pinpoint those areas where they had to seek, they had to knock, and they had to ask. Okay. So I want to read this verse and really just kind of talk about it from the perspective. And then, as I said before, we're going to be sitting here for the next couple of weeks, just talking about each of those things, each of those practices. So Luke 11, verse 5. I read about maybe four verses here, right? So Jesus again is talking to his disciples. He says, suppose one of you has a friend and he goes to him at midnight and says, friend, lend me 3 loaves of bread because a friend of mine on a journey has come to me and I have nothing to set before him. Then the one inside answers, don't bother me. The door's already locked and my children are with me in bed. I can't get up and give you anything. I'll tell you. Verse 8, though he will not get up and give him the bread because he is his friend, but yet because of the man's boldness, some translations, his persistence, he will get up and give him as much as he needs. So I say to you, verse 9, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds. And to him who knocks, the door will be open. So as you can see, as Jesus talking to his disciples, it's these principles, underlying principles that Jesus was able to pull out, giving them this story, this parable, so to speak, of a man going to his friend at midnight to ask for bread because he had a friend coming in from a journey that he wants to make sure he has bread for them, something to eat. And again, this was very this was Jewish customs, so this was very customary for them to do this, right? So it is very significant, all right? So you just can't overlook, the bread, right? Of him preparing bread, for him having something and being hospitable for someone that's coming on a long journey and staying with him and having some bread with them, or having some bread for them, right? And as Jesus says, he who asks receives, he who seeks finds, he who knocks, the door will be open. And as I thought about that, and just from the lens of myself, right, of what am I asking for? What am I seeking? What things am I knocking? Have I knocked, right? What doors am I experiencing to be closed that I need to knock? And I have opportunity to talk with my community, my Scriptures and Squats community. Shout out to them. If you're ever in the greater Charlotte area in Concord, we have Scriptures and Squats. It's a wonderful time for us to come together. We read a scripture and then we work out. It's a beautiful place. It's a safe place. We don't judge people based on if you in church and not in church, you know Jesus, you not know Jesus. Whatever the case may be, it is open. It's a total mind, body, and soul workout. And it's a beautiful thing that I've been doing with Hapi Hood for quite some time. And as I said, it's a beautiful thing to just as people to come together to talk about the word, right? And hear different perspectives and then work out, right? It's a beautiful thing. So I was talking with Scriptures and Squat community, and we had a wonderful conversation about it. And today, I want to just provide just some food for thought, because what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be still in this moment. As I say, we're in the finish what you start season. And I want to talk about each of these areas of the seeking, the knocking, and the asking. And again, we're going to look at it from the question, or answering the question of, how do we practice these actions as a way to drive our purpose, right? To be purpose driven. What does it mean to seek? What does it mean to knock? What does it mean to ask as it relates to me driving my purpose? And one thing that I think, there's a couple of things I think we can glean from this verse that I just want to talk about today, just a food for thoughts. And I said before, we're going to go further in each of these areas. The first thing is the seeking. And let me first just say, I don't, with these principles around seeking, knocking, asking, I I don't want you to think that I'm looking at it from just a linear process of, hey, you seek, you knock, then you ask, right? I think there's a combination. Again, we think about and reflect on our accomplishments or accomplishments of others. They may have done a combination of these. They may have just done one of these. I even think that you could be in a season of seeking. You could be in a season of knocking, a season of asking. So I want to make sure that's understood. But just for today, as I look at these things, I'm just going to look at them as a process, or just these each individually phases, not necessarily so much of a process, but just a phase, right? Where again, you may be one, you may be in the other. You may have to go back to one, you may have to skip over others. So it's not a linear process. So we're going to start with the seeking. The seeking part, when I think about this and glean from the Bible and glean from this verse of, here's a man that was desperate. It's midnight. I think when it comes to us driving our purpose and being very purpose driven, when we're seeking, it's almost like we have to have a level of urgency. It has to be some type of desperation that we're experiencing, right? When you think about, or when we just kind of reflect on, even you, I know I have done this, or maybe you know someone where, hey, when they talk about, hey, I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to eat healthy, or I'm going to find this job, or I'm going to open up this business. It's like, okay, but are you really seeking? Because seeking requires you to have some type of level of desperation. Like I think there's an ingredient that I had to kind of put in this. There's like a desperation, right? I also think that has to be a level of curiosity. That has to be that I'm curious, right? For him to go there at midnight, he's like, I'm curious if he has some. I wonder if he has some bread that I can have, right? I wonder if he has some, right? There has to be this level of curiosity. I think that also as you seek to drive your purpose, I think there has to be an understanding where you may have to challenge your assumptions. And I want to get in that. I'm going to take my time, because I want to really take a deep dive in that, because if we unwrap that of challenging our assumptions, we get to the root of, there's things that we have to unlearn. There are things that we have to unlearn. Maybe this was, I mean, for him to go at midnight, maybe this wasn't something that, we don't know how good of a friend he was, right? Or if he's a close friend or just associate. I mean, he calls him friends, so maybe they knew each other well, but maybe they didn't. Maybe just a neighbor, right? But I wonder with that, like, what assumptions did he had to overcome? what assumptions that he had to overcome to actually go there at midnight seeking. Again, food for thought today. Just chew on it. Just think about it. Go read the verse, Luke 11. The next thing, the knocking. The knocking piece really speaks to me because it's the action that you have to take. Here's again, a friend has no bread. Friend is looking for bread for another friend that's coming in. It's midnight. He's knocking at his friend's door. It's the action that you have to take from the part of what you're seeking. And that of itself, when I think about it, that can be very uncomfortable. It's like the knocking part is this level of you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. The knocking part is, okay, what are you doing? You say you want a job, but yet you don't got your resume updated. You say you open a business, or you say you're going to do this, but yet you don't have an LLC. You don't have an EIN, right? You say that you're hoping to get over some healing, and yet you won't go to therapy, or you won't do these actions, right? You say you want to live a healthy lifestyle, but yet you won't give up the Twinkies, or you won't really commit to the lifestyle. Knocking also is like another thing that I think about when knocking, just again, food for thought. It's like the endurance. Because again, each of these things, as Jesus said at the end, because of the man's boldness, another translation, because of the man's persistence, that his friend would get up and give him what he needs, and give him as much as he needs, as it says. But it didn't say, again, as Jesus said, that, hey, those that ask will receive, those that seek will find, those that knock, the door will open. Jesus said, it doesn't say when it's going to happen. It doesn't even say that. It doesn't say how long you have to knock, how hard you have to knock. Because many of us, like, we'll be like, and again, goes back to like, how desperate are you? Because you desperate. Hey, open up. Again, it's midnight, right? Was he loud with it? So that knocking part really speaks to me, because it's power in the knocking. And it's also this level of being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And then there's this last piece, the ask. Could it be, again, as I said, this was tradition. This was part of Jewish custom for people, that visitors come in, that you will have bread, that you will have things for them to eat, right? Did he feel ashamed that he didn't have it? Again, he goes at midnight to ask his friend. The ask part for me, family, when I think about it, again, just that food for thought. It's like you getting over. It's part of it's like you have to get over your insecurities. You have to get over this suffering in silo, and just simply ask. Could it be, as I said before, I believe these areas, the seeking, the knocking, the asking, these principles, they could be a season in your life. Could it be that you're in an asking season, and it's because God is dealing with your pride, because you simply won't ask for help, that you simply won't say, I need support in this business, that you simply won't go to the bank and ask for the loan? You simply won't go to the credit card and say, hey, can I get some extension? You simply like these things, like, I don't, because you won't ask. You haven't even asked God. Could it be that you're experiencing these difficulties, these hardships, because you simply want ask to get a mentor? You simply want to ask that person, hey, can you mentor me? Can you help me out with this? Or hey, if you're single, because you simply want to ask that person, like, hey, you want to go out? Can we get a cup of coffee? That man, that woman, because you didn't ask. The ask part is like, it's big, because that's if I can be honest, family, that it deals with me. That deals with me, because if I think about it, when I reflect on moments of it was difficult for me to ask, simply because of my pride, simply because I couldn't inhale humility. I had a lot of entitlement. I don't want to ask. I don't want to ask them for that. I ain't asking them for no help. I got this. Struggling. And a lot of sometimes I pride. I don't want that. They're going to they're going to say, I told you so. And I get it. I get it. It's hard. It's hard for me to truly ask for help. But that's a part I know God is dealing with me. It could be dealing with you as well. The ask part. So we're going to go in each of these over the next couple of weeks. Again, today was just some food for thought. I want you to go back. I want you to go and read this, right? And really meditate and think about those areas, right? As Jesus was telling them, hey, those that seek, find. Those that knock, the door will be open. Those that ask will receive. Like, what is that? How does that speak to you? When you think about the choices that you make as a leader to drive your purpose, how does this help you in those areas? So we're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about the gift of seeking. Then we're going to move to the power of knocking. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the significance of asking. Okay. So leadership. It's not a title. It is not a title, but it is a choice. And today, I choose to seek. I really choose to seek. I seek to challenge my assumptions. I choose to knock. I choose to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I choose to ask. I choose to finally get over my pride and practice some humility. Till next time, family, be blessed.